In the next section, we'll look at some more problem-specific technique for set cover that achieves a different result, I'd say. I think it's usually stronger. Whereas the greedy algorithm from the last section really was very generic. For most optimization problems, you can define some version of a greedy method to find a solution. And it was not nothing. It was a log n approximation is not nothing for set cover. In particular, for this problem, this is conjectured to be essentially best possible. But what else could we do with a set cover instance? If you study these counterexamples or these lower bound families that I've shown you for the greedy algorithm, it seems to fail on instances where the costs are really unfair, in the sense that there's some sets that give you a lot, but then have relatively cheap costs so that the optimal solution can pick them. Maybe we should kind of expect something better if the costs are somehow less unrealistic, maybe. If a set is larger, it should be more costly. That's the vague intuition here. I mean, whether you agree with this intuition or not is maybe not so important. A specific way how this last thing could be satisfied is with a size proportional cost, where indeed now the cost of a set is exactly some constant times its size, but because we're comparing against optimum, you might as well say P is 1. So the cost of a set is the number of elements that it contains. That feels like it should be easier to deal with, just because it's less easy to cheat in the optimal solution to pick some very cheap solution that somehow the greedy algorithm can be tricked into not picking. So let's see what we can do. It turns out we need another notion here, which is the notion of frequency. So the frequency of an element of the universe is just the number of sets that it occurs in. So a very natural thing to look at. And we'll keep this maximal frequency f without any subscript. That's just the largest number of sets that any specific element occurs in. We've seen this before, just I didn't give it a name there. The vertex cover instances are precisely the set cover instances where f is 2, when the element occurs in just 2 sets. Now it turns out if your costs are size proportional, something cute happens. If you take all of your sets, that's already an F approximation. So it's the most boring of algorithms. You just take the trivial solution of picking all sets in the input. And by the magic of size proportionality, you can bound the cost by F times the optimum. How does that work? That's a very simple calculation, as you can see. So it's a one-line proof. You take the cost of all the sets, which is just the sum of all their cost. Now, we know this is size proportional, so each of them is P times their size. And now we're just rewriting the sum of the sizes of all the elements in terms of frequency. If I sum this over the elements, then I get every element exactly Fe times. And F was an upper bound for all the Fe's. So that's basically it, because the optimum solution has to pay at least, or has to cost at least P times N, because it has to pick somehow all the elements. And the most cost-efficient way to do that is to have each element covered just once, and then you would have to pay P times N, because we know so precisely what the cost of sets are. So it's a very, very simple observation, which by itself is maybe not super strong, because first of all, the algorithm is super boring, and it seems that maybe this is too restrictive now. Requiring that an input has a size proportional cost function is maybe overshooting a bit. But we can still turn this into an algorithm by just forcing the cost to be size proportional. And the idea here is what's then called a layering algorithm. We basically pick the smallest proportionality constant to have a cost that is size proportional. Then we take the sets that have exactly that cost. And for the others, we have some residual costs to recurse on. So we split the cost of each set is split into a size proportional part and some remainder. So this is just going to be some p times the size. And this one we don't know much about in general, but we make sure that it's always non-negative by just picking p small enough, picking p as the smallest overall sets. You can always make sure that this is exactly 0 for at least one set and greater or equal 0 for all the sets. If that's all you can do, you're not going to make great progress, but we'll see how we can tie things together at the end in terms of this frequency. So first of all, the algorithm in more structured ways, it finds p as the smallest such ratio, so the smallest proportionality constant for any size proportional cost. Then we set z0 as I just sketched here, that's the size proportional part, and c1 is the remainder. And then we just pick for our solution all the sets where this residue part is exactly 0. So all the sets that have the exact size proportional cost, these we pick in our solution for good. So the algorithm is, again, has a greedy flavor, but it works a bit more on what greedy means here. Then we still might have to continue. So we look at all the sets, all the elements in the universe that we get from the sets that we just picked, all the elements with the size proportional part. If that happens to be all elements, we're happy and we just return that solution. And otherwise, we can reduce the instance a bit. We can get rid of all the elements that we've already covered. We don't need to pay for those again. And we can reduce our attention to all the sets that, well, have any elements left in this remaining set. I think we can also remove all the elements that we've already covered, but these by definition fall out of this because U is the universe of all the elements that are completely, so all the sets that we pick are completely covered, completely contained in U, and so they can't have an intersection outside of U with S. So these are all the remaining sets that are still interesting. And then we recursively compute a solution for this problem. But importantly here, we only put the residual costs in. So the size proportional part is already subtracted and dealt with. And we only look at the remaining part. And this is important, otherwise we may not make progress, right? And then the output is just the union of these sets. So maybe slightly less obvious, but if you come from this size proportional idea, this algorithm is somewhat natural. But how well does this work? Turns out you can show it's an F approximation for F, again, this maximal frequency. And you say, hey, hold on, we already have an F approximation. There it is. But that's only if the input was exactly size proportional. Okay, so that's very, very restricted, but we'll use that special case for dealing with the induction basis. The proof is by induction over the recursive calls. That shouldn't be surprising. And we have to show two things, namely that the algorithm even computes a valid set cover. I think from the code, maybe that's not even 100% obvious. And we should show that the cost is at most F times the optimum cost. For the induction basis, we're assuming that we hit the return here in line 8 and then stop, which means all of U is covered by the size proportional part. And well, we've explicitly checked that we are a set cover, so that the correctness part A is fine. And for part B, we invoke the previous lemma because now it is indeed a size proportional instance. if you restrict it to the sets that we picked. So there might be other sets that are more costly, but they're not needed to cover the universe anyway, so you might as well ignore them. And on the restricted instance, where this curly S, I don't know if I can draw a curly S. This is just all the elements that we picked, so the curly Z0. This is size proportional by definition, and so the lemma must apply and give us an F approximation. That's the inductive basis. If we return here, what's left is the inductive step where we have to keep going. Now we use the induction hypothesis on the recursive call. So we can assume that C1, where we get back here, covers the universe that we recurse on with the cost that we recurse on. So we only get that the cost with respect to C1 of this returned cover is at most F times whatever is the optimum for this weird recursive subinstance. So we have to work a bit to put that together. Let's suppose we have some optimal set cover with respect to the original problem. So this is our actual target for opt that we fight against. That's giving us this one. So maybe just to make it clear, this is opt. So observe that all the elements that we pick in C0, they have this cost C1 equal to 0. And the elements here, I mean, what we leave here is we can force to apply the lemma by making everything size proportional by just looking at Z0, the size proportional part of the cost. So if I take what I pick and the recursively returned set cover, then with respect to Z0, that's an F approximation because that's forced to be size proportional. So I can remember this for later, that with respect to the Z0 cost, our produced solution here at the end is at most F times the optimal solution, but evaluated with the size proportional cost only. Okay, that's also easy. Now for the interesting part, we have to work a little harder. So first of all, we look at all the elements in the optimal solution, where the set is in the recursive call. S1 was the sets that are not completely covered by the size proportional part. We gotta have that this restriction is a set cover for U1 because all the elements, all the sets that are where this I is in the optimal solution, but not in C star 1, they only cover the size proportional part, so they can only cover U0. And so U1 was the complement, that's what's left. To cover these, I have to use the sets that are in with indices in this curly C star 1. All right, which means that the cost I pay on this set C1 that I pick, that's by inductive hypothesis the optimal solution on this subproblem. And this C1 star is some specific solution there. So the optimal solution must be cannot be worse than this specific solution. This is part of an optimal solution for the entire problem, but for the restriction on the universe U1, it may not be optimal anymore. And sorry, the F is missing here. all we get from the inductive hypothesis is that we get an F approximation, not the optimal solution here. So the F comes from the inductive hypothesis. The second part, the C1 star, this is some specific set cover, and so it's not more, it's not cheaper than the optimal solution for that set cover. So how can I, yeah. Just for clarity, it's supposed to be a curly S. No. Never use curly letters. It's always a pain. That's U1. Commas and ones also look the same. Maybe I should write them like this. So that's C1 of the curly C star 1. That's what we're using here. And the F is coming from there. But so also remember this part. If I take the part of the solution I get recursively and evaluate it under the residue cost, C1, that's at most F of what I get for the cost of the part of the optimal solution on this universe U1. And now we're essentially ready to puzzle everything together. The cost of our solution that we compute in terms of the actual cost we care about, C, can be split into the size proportional part and the residue part. So far, so easy. Then on the residue part, we know that all the size proportional sets have residue cost 0. So here, this C1 of this set is a sum, and I'm leaving out all the terms that are just 0. And now I'm using my two equations. Let me just copy this one. So that we have it on the same slide. Yep. So that's what we use here. Each of these parts is now bounded by F times the respective part of the optimal solution. Here it's the entire optimal solution. Here it's just the part on U1, as we defined up here. But again, if I include the sets that are from the size proportional parts, the residue cost is 0. So I can include them. They contribute nothing to this sum. And so I can go from here to here, and I'm not actually, maybe this is even equal, but certainly I can upper bound it by just including more elements here. That's enough, doesn't even need an argument. And then we have just rewritten the cost of the optimal solution. So that is opt. So the overall result is the cost of the solution we produce is at most F times the optimal solution. So the layering algorithm is an F approximation. And note that for vertex cover, we had F equals 2 always. So we get a 2 approximation. Yay, we've already had a 2 approximation for vertex cover. But notice here, this is the weighted version. And so it is a stronger result. You cannot easily get this with the matching argument that we've used last time. Okay, and of course, it also works for the general set cover problem. If F is larger, the approximation rate is not as good, but it's going to be better for all instances where the maximal frequency is below this Hn. And well, that's a question that depends on the specific application, but I think it's more realistic to assume that specific elements don't occur a lot of times in different sets. So probably the layering algorithm is usually a stronger approximation.